to
Such
Social
a nasty
Security.
one.
Nasty women are tough. Nasty women are smart. And nasty women vote.
America is still a great country, and it is still worth fighting for.
I'm not giving up, and neither should you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's podcast of Nasty Women Nation. Hope everybody had an awesome Thanksgiving, and hopefully it was, uneventful and not full of crazy drama like I know some people had. We have a really good show for you this week, some really good topics. Of course, my name is Ray. I'm here with Wendy. We're from Houston. We've got Dex and Katie joining us from Colorado Springs, Aaron in Austin, and we also got Kara in Houston as well. So, everybody say hi, please.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Well, we're going to jump right in. And again, like I said, since it's Thanksgiving week, I'm sure a lot of people had some interesting time with the fam. Luckily, I didn't have the drama that I was afraid that we were going to have because my family put a ban on any political talk whatsoever. So thank God for that. Thank God for that. But I would love to hear how everything went from Thanksgiving for y'all. Aaron, why don't you start us off?
Well, we had every intention of not talking about politics. And for the most part, we stuck to that. However, first off, it's palpable. Even when you don't talk about it, there was, pun intended, the elephant in the room. And we all could sense it. And ultimately, towards the end of the night, it came up, but it was actually a lot more civil than I thought it would be. And I was very thankful for that. I guess you could say that was what I was thankful for this Thanksgiving.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I know that a lot of people out there, I think, got through this Thanksgiving with the help of, a lot of, all of our favorite peoples like, Jack and Jim and...
Yeah, you know what? I actually didn't even need a flask.
Wendy, you brought two, didn't you? Thankfully, I don't think you needed them, though. But I mean, we were prepared. We were prepared.
Yeah. Preparedness is key.
It is.
Well, I didn't break into the flasks, although I did manage to drink about a half a bottle of wine before noon.
Okay, fine.
I also started drinking early. I think it was like 11:30 or something.
Well, how did things go over with you guys, Dex and Katie?
Surprisingly well. We did kind of the same thing where we were like, you know what, we're just not going to talk about politics, which was actually a lot harder than I expected because that's all we've been doing in this house for like the last 2 weeks is talk about politics. I mean, it is literally the elephant in the room where everybody's just like every conversation you have. I mentioned to Dex in the car the other day, this feels like post 9/11 where you can't have a conversation with anybody without it coming up and people kind of processing and all that sort of stuff. So it was actually, I think, kind of on the awkward side, but we survived it and we got through it and it was relatively painless and, it was actually a pretty nice evening. I mean, the turkey was bomb, all the food was great, and yeah, nobody got into any screaming matches we just did not talk about it at all. And like my dad and I talked about the weather and the corn harvest and all the safe topics. So
okay.
My strategy was just to put food in everybody's faces and keep them quiet, which I think I succeeded at.
Yeah, that worked really well.
Well, one thing I did notice that helped us at our Thanksgiving is we actually have two different rooms that people eat in because thankfully there's not enough room for everybody in one. So luckily, most of the people that would, when put together, start a bunch of craziness happen to be separated in separate rooms. So that definitely helped keep the peace. And oh my God, for the first time, I've actually been really, really excited that football was on. Because it also kept a good chunk of the crazy in the other room watching TV. and out of the kitchen.
You're like, hey, how about those Cleveland Browns?
That's right. I was like, so who's playing? It doesn't matter. Go cheer. Go cheer. So that was good. I will say, too, before we're moving on to the next person, I did have a friend, both of us actually had come up with a text code word so that we would know when things were getting politically dicey at each other's houses, and that word was pineapple. And right about, I don't know, it was like 8:30 in the morning. I had barely even like gotten over to my parents' house, and I'm getting the pineapple text from her that her family wasn't even together yet. They were arguing over politics in text messages on the way to their parents' house.
Wow.
So it could always be worse. How about you, Kara? How are things over at your house?
Thanksgiving with my family actually went better than I expected. Almost no one brought up the election or politics or anything like at all. There was only one incident with a family member who I haven't seen in a while, and it was actually really funny. It was over dessert, and we were kind of, eating like the kids' table off in the corner, and she leans in, she asked me, so who'd you vote for?
Are you kidding me?
But I looked at her, and I was like, this is a holiday and I'm not discussing it. And she like nudges me with her elbow and she's like, no, it's okay. You can tell me. Did you vote for Hillary? And I'm thinking to myself, I do not want to do this right now, but there's no one else around. And my niece is sitting next to me, and my niece is like 17. She's like, she did. And that's when the really unexpected thing happened where this family member gave me a high five and said, that's my girl. And I was just like, what? What is happening?
Some people just want to watch the world burn. That's what that relative was.
Like she's the one person who doesn't have a filter. She doesn't really care about like politeness, decorum, like none of that. She doesn't care. So she didn't mind like getting in there and asking me the question. And I'm thinking to myself, there's a Hillary magnet on the back of my car. Just go outside and you'll see who I voted for. But like, sure, we'll talk about this over pie. That's not going to cause a problem.
Pie can make a lot of things better. It can make a lot better. It does. It kind of makes me wonder how long can we go on like this, just pretending like there's not a problem when clearly there's a big problem.
Everything is on fire. No, this is fine. It's all fine.
But yeah, and I know me and Wendy had read an article just the other day that it was talking about how, it seems like each side of this argument is busy. Well, maybe not the Trump supporters as much, but on our side of the table, it seems like a lot of us are kind of just screaming in our own little, secluded little bubbles, and we're not actually getting our message out there to the other side to maybe help them see why we are as upset as we are about things. And we're not just being the quote-unquote liberal crybabies as they keep labeling us as. So
I think it's early days still. I think everybody is still kind of
shell shock,
coming off of their 6-day bender and trying to sober up and get over the hangover. Figure out like, okay, what's worth talking about? What family members do I think would actually be willing to listen to me? What rando on Facebook do I want to bother speaking to, or am I just going to tell you to go get fucked and block you off my page?
Yeah, and I still haven't like even unblocked people or started refollowing people on Facebook, the family members.
I've went and looked through everyone who I'm friends with on Facebook who follows Donald Trump just to see like if they're talking about it, like because it's exactly that. Let me see who I can bring up the topic with, who is going to be to have an open conversation. There has been silence from almost all of them for like the past 2 weeks. There were some posts from right after Election Day, and then that's it. None of them have mentioned politics or Trump at all since then. Just nothing. So I don't know what the deal is.
That's actually what I've been doing too. I like to go through and double check and see what my Trump following friends have said. And there are a couple of crazies who post like, oh, look at the libtards crying. And then other than that, the pretty moderate Republicans, if you can even call them that, are silent, like you said. And I'm just like, okay, where do we go from here? Like, how do we bridge that gap? How do we talk to them?
That is a huge question and how to broach the subject, because I know there are certain members of my family that it doesn't matter what I say, it's not going to end with any difference of opinions on either side. But I do feel like there's hope for maybe a couple. Maybe, I feel like my mom. I feel like my mom is the one who most I could probably, if we actually sat down and, yeah, I mean, I know my mom seems insane for those of you that know her, and she is insane. I love her, but she's crazy. But my mom is also one of those people that she doesn't like to read things. She just wants you to tell her, okay, give me the highlights and the sizzle reel, and unfortunately, that's really not the best way to get your information. Mm-hmm. And so I think if you actually sat down and showed her some things that didn't come from Fox News or that didn't come from my uber crazy siblings who are just, repeating what Sean Hannity says and things like that, there may be hope there.
I feel like I had a good conversation with my dad actually the other day. He and I were in the kitchen, and, I know that he's up there quietly listening to Crazy Talk Radio, and he did vote for the Dark Overlord. And the other day, we got to the point where he said that he would never have voted for Hillary, but now he was kind of rethinking his vote for the other guy. And so I felt like that was at least a step in the right direction, because he's starting to see some of the crazy coming out, and I felt like I can live with him a little bit better now that he kind of regrets his decision. So.
But how frustrating is that, knowing that now they're saying, oh, wait, what did I do? It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. And, it was one of those things where I couldn't even have a conversation with him, because I am probably the least confrontational person you will ever meet in person. I can talk from one end to the other on Facebook or online, but when it comes to actually doing it in person, I get frustrated and my brain just shuts off. And so words just will not happen, and I burst into tears, and it's really, really annoying. That's my first response to getting frustrated with anything, and then I get even more angry about something and have to walk away.
Well, I feel like, if you were really good at debating, you would be unstoppable, because you're just I don't know, you retain so everything that you read, you're like a little sponge, and you have so many good facts and figures just locked away up there. If we could put you in front of a large group of people and have you do a debate, you'd be awesome.
Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. That's why I was never in debate club in high school, because as soon as I get the inkling that, okay, your brain doesn't work on any kind of functional level, I can't talk to you anymore, and I've got to walk away.
Well, okay, and now to backtrack a little bit, though, to as far as, some of the Trump supporters kind of regretting what the evil overlord is taking his stance on, that actually brings us to our next topic that I wanted to discuss with you guys. So Trump is very clearly kind of softening up on a lot of the things that, were his big campaign promises. Well, the wall, well, maybe we're not going to get too crazy with the wall. And immigration, well, maybe it's not that bad. And Hillary Clinton, maybe we're not going to prosecute her. Going around the room, let's, Katie, Dex, what are your thoughts on all of that?
I'm not surprised, honestly. I kind of saw it coming. As soon as he was elected, he was shocked that he even won, for one thing. And now he's having to back up everything he said, which I've never seen him really be consistent on much throughout the campaign anyway. So seeing him basically doing a 180 on just about everything is not really much of a surprise. Although I don't know if he's actually going to stick with what he says now, because he's flip-flopped so hard. He may turn around and say the exact opposite next week. We don't know.
Yeah, I don't trust anything that comes out of his mouth, whether it's, I'm going to send all the immigrants out of the country, or I'm not going to do it.
Well, the sky is blue.
Yeah, he could probably at this point tell me that the sky is blue, and I would be like, you are so full of crap right now. I think it's less about what he's saying and more about what he's doing. The worrisome white supremacist appointments, climate change deniers, that woman that he's appointed to be the Secretary of Education, who spent her entire career campaigning against education. That type of stuff to me is saying so much more than anything that's coming out of his mouth or out of his Twitter account.
Yeah, he very clearly is he's got actually, I think, a basket of names with the worst people in America. and he's just slowly drawing them out one at a time to fill his cabinet. It's the worst.
Yeah, and I really agree